Is the replacement of the killing economies that are pushing our farmers to suicide, our children to hunger and deprivation and death, our future generations everywhere in the world to hopelessness. We replace those killing economies with living economies. And living economies are processes and spaces where the earth's resources are shared equitably to provide for our food and water, our livelihoods, our creativity, our meaning in life. The second pillar of Earth democracy is the pillar of living democracy. At this point, as I mentioned, a representative democracy that has mutated from representing the will and needs and aspirations of the people to representing the will and aspirations and greed and profits of giant, powerful corporations who have no more, who are loyal to nobody, no country. That democracy, in the point of view of ordinary people, is not delivering anymore. It's not delivering for their security, it's not delivering for their needs, and it's not delivering for their freedom. A living democracy is the practice of freedom in everyday life. But the practice of freedom in everyday life today cannot just be the freedom of the privileged. It cannot just be the freedom of the powerful. It has to be the freedom of the last woman and the last child. And I would add, it has to be the freedom of the last species. If we do not re-embed ourselves in the democracy of our life, if we do not reclaim our identity as Earth citizens, we will not find solutions to the economic crisis, and we will definitely not find hope for a future. But reclaiming our identity as Earth citizens is the creation of living cultures. Either culture is dead because its lifeblood of maintaining values, cohesion, relationship, connectedness has been very, very damaged. Or, as that young Oslo, we can't even call him a terrorist because terrorists are supposed to be brown. A culture of death in the mind. At this point, whether we look through the Arab world or we look in India, on the streets of India or even Europe, in most places, leave out the UK riots of last week, but most places people are protesting extremely peacefully. But beyond a point, their patience will wear. And that's why it's very, very important to have living cultures fuel the thought of freedom for the future. And freedom for me, at this point of time, is freedom for every species to evolve fully. You know, His Holiness the Dalai Lama had to give a speech on his 60th birthday, and of course I talked about what I talk about always, genetic engineering and patenting. Besides wishing him well and celebrating compassion. And he wrote me a note, which I've saved very preciously. And his note was, every species has a right to well-being and happiness, and no species has a right to take it away. Now that's a fundamental principle of living peacefully on the earth. Therefore, our freedom has to be premised on the freedom of all species. Our freedom has to be premised on the freedom of all people. And I think we are capable as human beings to have that inclusive embrace of freedom for all. Too much violence has been perpetrated for the freedom of a few corporations to rape the earth and to violate the rights of all people. The violence of men against women, the violence of the human species against nature, All of that is based on exclusive freedoms, narrow freedoms. We can't afford it anymore. We need to widen the idea of freedom. And the idea of freedom must grow out of our responsibility as Earth citizens, caring for the Earth, caring for the well-being of all beings on the planet, caring for the well-being of the last person, and while doing that, shaping our own well-being also. I advised the government of Bhutan, and the Prime Minister asked Navdanya to help them go fully organic. And he wrote to me a letter in which he said, we have adopted the idea of gross national happiness as our objective. We do not measure GDP, gross domestic product, we do not measure gross national product, we measure gross national happiness. Are our people happy? And all our policies are designed to maximize happiness, central to which is harmony with nature, recognizing your own culture and protecting it, respecting elders, and practice of sustainability and democracy. And he said, for me, growing gross national happiness can only be seriously practiced through an agriculture that is ecological and organic. And that's why we are helping the government of Bhutan. This is Earth democracy in practice. But Earth democracy in practice is the right of the tribals who fought against the Vedanta company on the mining of their sacred mountain, Niyamgiri, which means the mountain that upholds the sacred law. Or the little children and the women of the villages of coastal Orissa who are fighting one of the biggest steel plants of the world, $12 billion investment. It's called a Korean steel plant, but when we did our analysis, it's no more owned by Koreans, it's owned by Wall Street firms, the investment banks. The investment banks own everything. The potato in your backyard, the bread that you didn't get, the land that is being grabbed in Africa, in Asia. It's all that speculative money, and it grows so fast, it's quite amazing. $3 trillion moving around the planet. 70 times more than the real goods and services. And of course, when it's 70 times more than the real goods and services, then it can grab every inch of land, every drop of water, it can grab every seed. Earth democracy is the resistance of the people on the ground to say, but this land is our mother. You can't grab it. It is the future of our future generations, the future of our cultures. Earth democracy is the practice of seed saving, and we are in Berlin. I haven't seen it. I hope tomorrow we'll go visit the gardens. But I've been told it is the most important garden city of the world, where gardens are coming up everywhere. Wherever you can find a little piece of land, a garden comes up. And many of these gardens are about peace across cultures, the cross-cultural gardens. They started by immigrants. And that is the celebration we need. The celebration of peace, the celebration of diversity, and most importantly, the celebration of our humanity, which we must protect and reclaim before it is too late.